President Biden identified inflation as one of the biggest problems facing the United States. Prices are rising at their fastest rate in 40 years, squeezing household budgets. Our business editor, Stephen Carroll, is here with more. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Haxie.
What exactly is Joe Biden planning to do about inflation in the US?
Well, Joe Biden acknowledged that tackling this issue won't be easy. He pointed to the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve, as being the primary, having the primary solution to this problem. The Fed's already acting on this. It's winding down its pandemic-era bond buying, stimulus to the economy. It's also signalled there'll be 3 interest rate rises this year, all things that classically tackle high inflation. But Joe Biden also said that the White House's economic policies would help to rein in this problem. One particular issue, and it's one that can make presidents very unpopular, is the rising price of petrol in the United States. The most recent figures show fuel is around $3.40 a gallon. That's the highest since 2014. Now, that's down partly to the higher cost of oil on the markets, but also higher transportation costs, which is contributing to pushing up the price at the pump. Now, oil prices are still rising, and because there's a time lag usually between when prices rise for oil on the markets and prices at the pump, we may see those prices go even higher before they come down. The record price for fuel in the United States was $4.16. That came in 2008. To tackle this issue, last November, President Biden announced that the US was going to release some of its oil that it has in its strategic reserves to put more oil onto the market and help bring prices down. It did help, but the effect was pretty short-lived. The White House is going to come under pressure to do more if prices keep rising.
And rising prices in the US have also meant that workers are looking for higher wages.
It's contributing to a phenomenon that's known as the Great Resignation. People are quitting their jobs in record numbers in the United States, particularly those who are in low-paid jobs. Our Washington correspondent, Ketavan Gorjestani, sent us this report.
It's a crisis Joe Biden did not see coming. Faced with the urgency of tackling the pandemic and its consequences, his administration passed trillion-dollar relief packages, efforts that kept the economy going, but also triggered a serious worker shortage, especially in the service industry.
The time that restaurant workers were able to spend getting more unemployment than they've ever gotten before, that often made up for or was greater than their wages. They realized their own self-worth, and I think they realized what they were willing to and weren't willing to put up with on the job.
With wages often low, nearly 7% of workers in the food service industry quit their jobs last year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Across the board, the worker shortage, in turn, had consequences on the wider economy.
If you're a business and you're having a hard time holding on to your people and you've a lot of record open number of open job positions, it's hard for you to provide the service or produce the good that's your business. So you have shortages, you have prices rising, prices for lots of things. Inflation's a problem in part because of all of this. So it's very disruptive.
In December, the inflation rate hit 7%, a 40-year record. These price hikes are felt at the grocery store, at the pump, and elsewhere, and many Americans blame them on the president. Joe Biden addressed the issue in his press conference, vowing to improve the situation, but warning that lowering inflation would be a haul.
And what exactly are governments elsewhere doing to tackle inflation?
Inflation in Europe, for example, isn't as high as it is in the United States, but it's still at a record since the creation of the euro, 5% in December. Energy prices, again, the big issue that's driving inflation here as well. And here in France, the price of petrol has hit record highs in recent days. The French Finance Ministry says they're watching the situation closely. They haven't announced any action on this issue just yet. But there are other areas where the French government has stepped in to try to limit the impact of inflation on households. One is electricity. Around 70% of French households are on a regulated electricity tariff. They're set to rise on the 1st of February. The regulator proposed an increase of 44.5% in energy prices, electricity prices, I should say, due to rising costs. The government stepped in and said, no, that's too much. They brought it down, so it's only going to increase by 4%. That's come at a cost of €8 billion to the French state. Add to that steps the government has taken to limit gas prices. There's also a one-off payment of €100 being given to low-income households to help them to combat inflation as well. The total bill for all of this, the Finance Ministry says, is €15 billion, but these are temporary measures. The government's not going to be able to keep this up over a long period of time. They're very much hoping that inflation will come down before they have to fork out a lot more money.
Stephen Carroll, thank you very much.